Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, committee members, faculty members, and the researchers. I am Manisha Kushwaha, PhD student under the Department of Business and Management at Institute of Advanced Research, welcomes you all in my pre-PhD presentation, which entitled as Public Expenditure on Education, a Macroeconomic Analysis on Fund Allocation and Policy Implication in Gujarat under the supervision of Dr. Radha Tiwari. This is an overview of my presentation. First is introduction, literature review, research gap and rationale of the study, research question and objectives, research design, data analysis and interpretation, conclusion and limitation of the study. This is a tentative outline of my chapterization. First, introduction, literature review, methodology, trend analysis of public expenditure on education, macroeconomic analysis of education policy, efficiency of public expenditure on education, contribution of public expenditure on education and human development index, finding, conclusion and suggestion. I may include this while writing my thesis. So let's start with an introduction. Public expenditure refers to the expenditure incurred by central, state and local government. Now, public expenditure helps in accelerating economic growth, formation of human capital and human development. These components depend upon many endogenous and exogenous variables, and among all these endogenous and exogenous variables, education is one of the most important endogenous variable and also a key dimension of human development index. Many researchers have studied the contribution of public expenditure on education on economic growth, and one of the major contribution is done by the Lucas, Romer and Barrow in the form of human capital formation theory. Now, human capital theory states the active mechanism of education expenditure in growth of economy and formation of human capital. Now, this can be understand with the help of this diagram that public expenditure on education leads to human development, it leads to human capital formation and leads to economic growth. Now, why this public expenditure on education is important? This education on public expenditure on education becomes important for those who are living below poverty line. According to Mosby, 25.7% rural population living below poverty line, whereas in urban 13.7% living below poverty line. And because in India, as a sizable proportion of population is living the below poverty line, many people fails to obtain social needs. So to boost this population and fulfill the social need of these population, public expenditure on education is necessary. It also stated that spending on education determine the priority and efficiency of central, state and state government. State government spending is considered to be more important because Indian state contributes 75 to 80% and in growth and development of overall economy. So it becomes important to scrutinize the public expenditure on education of the state government. This study scrutinizes the Gujarat state public expenditure on education. So total 37 literature reviews have been done, and these are some most relevant literature review. Like Patel in 2019 conducted a study in India, and the study found the temporal causal relationship between public expenditure and human development index. IFA and Goethe conducted a study in 2018, and the study found that the education expenditure has a positive impact on the growth of gross domestic product. Malik Das and Pradhan conducted the study in 2016. They observe a long run relationship exists between education expenditure and economic growth. Marcus and Caesar conducted a study in 2014, and they found the positive relation between education expenditure and economic growth. Hess conducted the study in 2014, and the study found a significant difference in reading assessment score for the group using e-readers. Purohit in 2016 conducted the study, and the study found that increase in literacy is possible by increase in elementary education. Bruce, Koski and Hugh conducted the study in 2008 and stated the importance of ICT in implementing the school. A study found that the learning problem ICT provide the solution to the problem in the learning process. Cholas conducted a study in 1997 in Chicago, and the study compared the efficient school district with inefficient school district. The efficient district significantly spent less on per pupil expenditure. So after conducting literature review, research gaps has been found. So it has been identified an apparent knowledge gap in the prior research concerning the allocation of fund on education. The second knowledge gap is the contribution of public expenditure on education in human development. The other the other research gap is the population gap. The school and college going population appears to be important and worthy of investigation in the context of their literacy, enrollment, and per pupil expenditure. So the rationale of the study is that present studies focuses on trend analysis of public expenditure on education and get the first hand knowledge about the implementation of education policy in Gujarat. The study also consists an analysis of efficient government public expenditure on education and identifies the literacy, enrollment, and per expenditure on Indian students. The study also traces the contribution of public expenditure on education on economic growth and human development index. So on the basis of research gap, research questions has been framed. What is the trend of public expenditure on education? What is the pattern of fund allocation? What are the macroeconomic education policy? Is the state government in India are doing efficient expenditure on education? How much are government spending on per pupil, per student, or per pupil expenditure? Is there any relationship between public expenditure on education and human development? What is the position of efficient state in human development index? On the basis of research question, 4 research objectives has been formulated. First is to analyze the trend of public expenditure on education and its effect on macroeconomic or its effect of economic growth, to review the macroeconomic education policy, to determine the efficiency of public expenditure on education in India, to analyze the relationship between public expenditure on education and human development index. So let's start with the trend analysis of public expenditure on education and economic growth. Now, why trend analysis is important? So as discussed earlier, that in India, for 39.4%, it is 25.7 plus 13.7, so it is total 39.4% population living in below poverty line, and they are unable to bear the private institution fees and unable to bear the social needs. So government spending is the only source of financing for this population. So to analyze the government spending, trend analysis become necessary, because trend analysis shows whether the spending is going upward direction or in a downward direction. So this study is descriptive in nature and the data is collected from the secondary sources. The study uses two variables, public expenditure on education and gross state domestic product. The gross state domestic product is calculated on deflated series at 2004-5 base, and it is a dependent variable. For trend analysis, time series data for 1998 to 2017 has been taken, and for aggregate expenditure on education, it is calculated with the help of public expenditure on education divided by total expenditure into 100. For economic growth model, production model has been used, and it y is equal to function of education. Here y is gross state domestic product, then augmented Dickey-Fuller test and ordinary least square method has been used. So trend analysis, it shows that this figure shows the result of two series. The blue line indicates the blue line indicate the upward trend, which shows the nominal expenditure on education. It includes primary education, secondary education, and technical or higher education. It shows that in nominal term, public expenditure on education has increased over the period of time, and it shows that the public expenditure on education has moved upward trend. But the other series, which is in percentage, it is a aggregate of total expenditure on education, and it represents the actual expenditure of actual expenditure on education. The aggregate expenditure on education has a fluctuating trend, and it increases at a diminishing rate. As we can see that after 2012-13, the aggregate expenditure has increasing, but at a diminishing rate. So that is why it is slightly declining, or it is an inverse U shape. If we talk about the fund allocation, so while collecting the data on education expenditure, it was noticed that education fund is not allocated in one hand, rather than it is being segregated. So the numbers are very confusing, and the public expenditure on education data is also only available for 10 years. So to clear our doubt about related to education fund and to get the more data, we visited Sachivalaya, and there we met R.D. Modi sir, who is the Under Secretary in Finance Department. He explained us the structure of budget and the allocation of fund in different heads. And then he recommended us to meet Shrimankar sir. His name is Vinod Shrimankar, who is the Under Secretary in Finance Department, and he uh, told us about the allocation of fund. So the education funds are allocated under major four different heads: tribal development, social justice, rural and building, social justice and empowerment part 2. So in child development, education, journal education, which include primary and secondary, technical education, education, sports, arts and culture funds are allocated in tribal development. Then in social justice also, these all three subhead are included. In road and building, only 4202, that is education, sports, arts and culture funds are allocated. And in social justice and empowerment part 2, all three heads, general education, technical education and education, sports, arts and culture funds are allocated. So after getting the knowledge about the fund allocation, the study tried to find contribution of education expenditure on economic growth. So for this, correlation has been used, and the correlation analysis shows the positive correlation between public expenditure on education and gross state domestic product. The graph also stated represent the positive correlation, and both the variables are moving in upward direction, and it has a upward trend in long run. So here the gross state domestic product uh, has increased around 12.92%, whereas education expenditure has grown around 10.53%. So the correlation only tells the directional relation. So to know the cause and effect relation, we run regression analysis. The result of regression analysis shows that education expenditure shows the variation in gross state domestic product around 0.95, which is 90% variation is shown. So generally, presence of trend and the very high R square in any variable always indicate the non-stationary in time series data. So to detect stationary and to avoid spurious regression, the study uses augmented Dickey-Fuller test. Now, the result of augmented Dickey-Fuller test is that education, both the variable are transformed into logarithm form, and the education expenditure is stationary at first difference. So after that, ERDL short-run correction model has been used. The short-run correction model coefficient of education expenditure is positive, and the logarithm form transformation shows the elasticity in the variables. It shows that 1% increase in education expenditure leads to increase in 0.036% in gross state domestic product. This means by increasing the education expenditure by 1%, uh, Gujarat economic growth is increased by 3.6%. Next, we have tested. Next, the CUSUM is used to test the model stability, and the result of CUSUM indicate the stability of long run and short run relationship between the education expenditure and gross state domestic product of Gujarat, and the value lies within the 5 percent level of significance. The next shows the finding of this study shows that the gross state domestic product and education expenditure in Gujarat for the period of 1998 to 2017 shows a diminishing upward trend. Public expenditure on education has increased in nominal term, but in actual or in aggregate term, it has declined. Uh, it is increasing, but at a diminishing rate. And the OLS result shows there is a positive short term relationship between Public expenditure on education and economic growth in Gujarat. The demand for education is inelastic. So the 1% increase in education expenditure leads to increase in 3.6% in Gujarat gross state domestic product. Moving on the next, macroeconomic analysis of education policy. Now, the best utilization of education expenditure is determined in terms of effective education policy implementation. So, to gather the knowledge of education policies, various education policies which are implemented in Gujarat have been reviewed. So, the policies which are reviewed are Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, Gyan Kunj project, Vidya Lakshmi Yojana, midday meal, and midday meal. So then after reviewing all this policy and after detailed discussion of all these policies and with the recommendation of the supervisor, it has been decided to analyze the Gyan Kunj project. Now, Gyan Kunj project, it is a school digitalization program to enhance classroom learning interactivity and teaching learning process with the help of technology. So after that, the questionnaire was prepared under the supervision of the guide, and the feedback was taken from the Bhatt sir and Mission sir. Now Bhatt sir and Mission sir, Bhatt sir is a section officer in education department and Mission sir is a deputy secretary in primary education department. So feedback related to questionnaires are taken, and after that the school were visited for data collection. Now for data collection, this study is empirical in nature, and thus for sample selection, stratified random sampling has been used, and with the help of stratified random sampling, the districts are classified under high literate, moderate literate, and low literate district. So one district from each district, one taluka from each district is selected, and one urban and one rural primary with upper primary from each taluka was selected. So total 6 schools are selected, and for data collection, structure interview and interview from student and structure interview from teachers has been collected. I'll show you the structure questionnaire and the structure questionnaire for the student and for the teachers. Then observation techniques has been used. So total we have 120 students from 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th grade, and 12 teachers from these different schools. Now here are the structure questionnaire. Here are the structure questionnaire. On the basis of these questionnaires, these total 13 questionnaires are put, and same for the teachers also. So here are the districts which are classified in high literate. Is Ahmedabad is selected, and from Ahmedabad one Dhanduka taluka is selected, and from Dhanduka one village is Mota Tradia village is selected, and in urban area Ahmedabad is selected. From Junagadh in rural area Manavdar taluka is selected, and from Manavdar Kotharia village is selected, and from urban area Junagadh is selected. In Surendranagar from rural Patadi taluka is selected, and from this taluka one village Moti Majeti village is selected, and from urban area Dhangutra taluka is selected, and Dhangutra is selected for our sample size. Now the rural and village sample is selected with the help of random sampling. Next, moving on the next, here is the detailed analysis. Now on the basis of questionnaire, the student responded that they study all the subject with the help of ICT, and the teacher also responded that they teach all the subjects with the help of ICT, and the responses are collected from the teachers as well as the student, and overall finding of this objective is that it shows the positive relationship between the implementation of Gyan Kunj and the student learning. 60% responded that they learned better with the help of ICT. Maximum students were taught using ICT. The percentage is higher for subject mathematics and science. 23% respondent agreed that they are not satisfied with the internet connectivity. These are the responses of students. ICT helps in stimulating the learning process by improving level of clarity and interest among all level of students. Overall result is satisfactory except few such things like internet connectivity and level of technology. So, and the 3.9% teachers have considered the concept of Gyan-Kunj model excellent, and 24.7% teachers felt it is effective. 66% respondent are agreed that student understanding has increased by implementing the ICTs in schools. Next is efficiency of public expenditure on education. Now, efficiency public expenditure on education as a share of gross state domestic product registered a significant effect on economic growth. Economic growth depend upon how efficiently the government is spending on education sector. So to identify the educational expenditure efficiency of all the major states of India has been analyzed. Here are the research design. This research uses 4 variables: population, public expenditure, enrollment and literacy. So interrelationship between these variables are shown as follows. Now here are the interrelationship between these 4 variables, and the other variables are public expenditure on education, population transition. Population transition has been used to identify the enrollment, literacy and per pupil expenditure. So all these variables are judged for the age group of 6 to 40. These are enroll in primary education 15 to 19. These enroll on secondary education, and the next is 20 to 24 year age group population who enroll in higher education. So enrollment, literacy, per pupil spending were found for these age group with the help of percentage method. Then the data envelope, and also this study uses the net state domestic product. It uses for the classification of all the districts in India, and it classify in low income group and high income group. Then data envelope and analysis has been used to find the efficiency score. So this is the population transition, and now this figure shows the figure shows the highest enrollment. If you talk about the age group of 6 to 14, so the highest enrollment is registered in Tamil Nadu, which is 99%, and the highest literacy is in Kerala, and in terms of per pupil expenditure, Bihar spent highest among all these states. The next is if we talk about for the age group of 15 to 19, so enrollment is highest in Tamil Nadu, which is the highest in Himachal Pradesh, which is 77%. Highest literacy again it is registered in Kerala, which is 82%, and per pupil expenditure is highest in Haryana, which spent 2%. The lowest is in Jharkhand. Literacy is in Odisha, and per pupil expenditure is Nagaland and Sikkim. For the age group of 20 to 24, the highest enrollment is registered in Tamil Nadu. The literacy is highest in Arunachal Pradesh, and per pupil expenditure is highest in Tamil Nadu. Now, from this result of these figures, we conclude that there are higher proportion of literate person in younger age cohort, which is 6 to 14 years age group. Now, this is primarily due to the greatest access to education amongst the most recent cohort compared to the older one. Now, if the population is higher in any particular age group, let's say 6 to 14 year age group, so the literacy enrollment is also high for this group, and the government also spend more to meet the need of this particular age group. Now, the state which perform better in terms of literacy and enrollment are developed state, but in terms of per pupil expenditure, they are lacking behind. Now, highly developed states are more focused on private education, and this is the limitation that this study does not include private expenditure on education and in its enrollment in these private institutions. So, next is to get a clear picture on efficiency all the states were divided in high income group and low income group according to their net state domestic product, and then DA analysis has been implied, and the result of DA analysis represent the efficiency score obtained by low income group. So here two groups are found, uh, school education group and higher education group. Usually we had a three group, and then all these group are combined and form in two group, school education and higher education group. So and two model has been used, public expenditure on education as an input variable and enrollment as an output variable. Now Uttar Pradesh has a constant returns to scale among these two group. In first model, Uttar Pradesh has a constant returns to scale. Now constant returns to scale occur when the variation of input is same as the variation of output. Other DMUs has an increasing returns to scale. Increasing returns to scale occur when the variation of input is smaller as the output variation. That means that their output increases more than input. Output means enrollment in increasing faster than the public expenditure on education. The next model indicates the enrollment and literacy. Enrollment is our input variable and literacy as an output variable. So in both the group, Mizoram has a constant returns to scale, and Manipur, Meghalaya and Nagaland has a decreasing returns to scale. Now decreasing returns to scale occur where the variation of input is largest of the output, and decreasing returns to scale suggesting that on an average there exists scope for further expansion of educational output given the existing resources from these districts. Next, the efficiency score obtained by the higher group, and in this group almost all the maximum DMUs has a constant returns to scale, and out of 12 DMUs, 6 DMUs has an increasing returns to scale. That means their output is more than their input, so they should upsize their spending, and the other DMUs has a decreasing returns to scale. In model 2 also 6 DMUs has an increasing returns to scale, and 2 DMUs has an decreasing returns to scale. So those who are decreasing returns to scale, they are suggesting that on average there exists scope for further expansion of education output giving the existing resource from these districts. So finding of this study is that population and literacy rate for the deformed group age for 6 to 14 is high, so the expenditure is also high for this particular age group. The enrollment in secondary school are lower as compared to primary education. It lies between 77%, which is highest in Himachal Pradesh, and 27%, which is lowest in Jharkhand. And the the secondary education should be given priority. The DA result indicate that the increasing enrollment are likely to increase literacy, and the increase in enrollment is only possible with the increase in public expenditure on education. The comparative picture of low income and high income group shows that higher income group are more efficient in maximizing their efficiency in terms of literacy and enrollment. The mean average difference shows that the average difference for higher education group is 49%, and in model 1 the high income group is 66% more efficient, whereas in model 2 the average difference is 18% for school group, and for higher education this difference is 0.4%. So the difference in higher education is too small for the effectiveness of enrollment and literacy model, because the main reason for this is that after completion of graduation many students leave their studies and opt for the job. Now moving on the next objective, that causal relationship between education expenditure and human development index. As discussed earlier, that education is the key dimension of human development index, and many states doing efficient expenditure on education. So it is important to analyze that education expenditure doing any contribution of human development index. So now human development, it is basically an index that measures key dimension of human development. So there are three key dimensions: knowledge, health, and standard of living. So this study is descriptive in nature, and the data is collected from secondary sources. Uh, this study uses variable like education index, health index, income index, development expenditure, public expenditure on education. Here education index, health index, income index are the dimension index which are calculated with the help of formula, and then compounded annual growth rate and non-parametric test has been used. This figure represent all the dimension indexes like long and healthy life, knowledge, and standard of living. And they have indicators like life expectancy, mean year of schooling, expected year of schooling, and GNI per capita. After from these indicators, dimension index has been calculated. Dimension index are health index, education index, and Gini index. Now these dimension index are calculated with the help of this formula, which is actual value minus minimum value divided by maximum value minus minimum value, and the values are taken from the goalpost table which are published by the UNDP in 2019 report. And after that, human development index is calculated by taking the cube root of health index, education index, and income index. So first we analyzes the trend. So now the trend analysis of any variable is important because it represents whether the variable is moving in a upward direction or in a downward direction, or it has an increasing trend or decreasing trend. So this figure, uh, in this figure we observe that the human development index in India increases around 50%, and the education dimension index has increased around 79%, and income index has increased around 44%. So the trend analysis represents that human development index and its indicator has an increasing trend, and all have moved in upward direction. The next table shows the categorical changes in human development index. Some state has moved from low human development index to high human development index, and some moved from high to medium. So now if we take the example like Andhra Pradesh, so in 1990 Andhra Pradesh is categorizes under low human development index, and it moved to medium human development index in 2018. If we talk about the Gujarat, so Gujarat in 1990 categorizes under high human development index, and in 2018 it categorizes under medium human development index. There are some states like Assam, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh are still categorizes under low human development index. Now moving on next, the next table shows that, so like to get the clear picture of human development index and its indexes, we have done interstate analysis. Now these figures shows that interstate diversity in human development index and its indicator. So the most rapid improvement is recorded in Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, the human development index has increased at a compounded annual growth rate of 2.54%. Income index has increased at CAGR of 1.77% in Himachal Pradesh, and health index is highest in Assam with compounded annual growth rate of 1.13%. Now next, the human development index has been computed by taking the average from 2011 to 2017 and compared the human development index with education expenditure. After computing, the study found that the state with a high level of income perform better in human development index, and in terms of human development index, Gujarat is the fastest growing state, and it ranks in first. The public expenditure on education is highest in Assam, and it ranks first. And among BIMARU state, BIMARU is basically an abbreviation for Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Uttar Pradesh. It was coined in 1980 by the demographer Ashish Bose. So, from these Bimaru state, Bihar has shown the tremendous improvement in education spending and it secured fifth rank. Some states are particularly found in lower income group as a phase of improvement but still classify under vicious cycle. Now, vicious cycle, it is a chain of event that negatively impact the economy. Here, the level of income remains low, which leads to low level of spending, low level of saving and investment, which leads to lower level of profit margin. Here is the diagrammatical presentation of vicious cycle. The state which fall under the vicious cycle have a low income, low saving, low investment, low productivity, capital deficiency, low rate of capital formation, slow gross domestic product, less foreign direct investment. They have a high debt burden on system, low spending, low education, and faces the situation like underemployment and unemployment. So, there are some states which already in the fourth stage of development. These states are classified under the virtuous cycle where economic growth is higher. Now, virtuous cycle, it is a situation where there is a lower fiscal deficit leading to lower interest and public borrowing, which left extra room for private investment. Here is the diagrammatical presentation of virtuous cycle. The state which fall under the virtuous cycle have lower interest, high income, increase in aggregate output, high rate of capital formation, more human develop, more foreign direct investment, less burden on system, revenue generation, high spending, better education, better economic growth and economies of scale. So, it has been observed that the state which fall under the high income group uh, or the state which had a high net state domestic product have a high human development index, and the state which have a low net state domestic product has a low human development index. In terms of spending on education, some states like Bihar, Assam, Rajasthan shows some phase of improvement but still classified under vicious cycle, and all the states are doing expenditure on education. This spending is less in some states and higher in other. Now, let's understand how much the education expenditure on education is contributing in the human development index. So, for that regression model has been used, and the result of regression shows that the regression result shows that if we talk about the India, so in India increases education expenditure to development expenditure by 1000 rupees, the average human development index is increased by 0.17 point on an average, keeping all other factors at a constant, and there is a 12% variation can be observed in human development index by increasing the education expenditure to development expenditure. There are some states which shows the negative relation between education expenditure and human development index, and the state that are organized under the vicious cycle like shows some improvement like Bihar, and the developed state which are fall under the virtuous cycle, they spend less on education, so their human development index increases with the small variations. So overall we observe that the public expenditure on education is less for these states which fall under the virtuous cycle, because in these state education probably is so much commercialized, which result that more and more more and more education institution and courses are entering into a private hands. So the finding of this study is that the proportion of public expenditure on education to development expenditure is statistically significant and have a positive impact on human development. Now the state perform well by doing expenditure on education and contribute to the improvement in human development. The other state of India also shows the positive and significant relationship between these two variables, except those which are labeled under the vicious cycle. There are some states which shows improvement in education expenses like Bihar, Assam and Rajasthan despite their low per capita net state domestic product. The states which are classified under the virtuous cycle making education as a private good in India rather being a public good. So overall conclusion of the study is that public expenditure on education has an important role to play in growth of state as well as in India. The selected public expenditure on education revealed that Gujarat achieved the positive slope but with little downward trend in percentage during 1998 to 2017. Education funds are allocated under different hand, and these fund allocation determine the priority of government for particular sector. The best utilization of education expenditure is determined in terms of effective education policy implementation, and effective policy implementation and efficient utilization resources leads to sustainable growth of an economy. The efficient utilization of education fund helps in the improvement of gross state domestic product, per capita income, human development index, and its indicators. So the main limit, now the limitation, there is a limitation of the study, and the main limitation is that the study uses the time series data which is available for the period of 1998 to 2017 only. This study only focuses on public expenditure, and it does not include private expenditure and enrollment. So the primary data collection is restricted only in few districts of Gujarat. So the further scope is that both public as well as private expenditure can be covered, and the more district for policy implication, more policy can be reviewed, and more districts can be covered for this policy analysis. Here are the references for this study, and there are three research paper has been published, and all these journals are UGC and peer reviewed journal. These are the conference attended and the list of paper presented. Now finally, throughout the conducting this research, I have received a great deal of support and assistance, and without their cooperation, inspiration and guidance, it was impossible to complete my research work. I would like to thanks and I would like to express my sincere gratitude to IAR, President Sir, Registrar Sir, Dean Research, Dean Academics, and all the faculty members of IAR for providing me this opportunity. My sincere thanks goes to research committee members, Professor Hina Sidhu. She's an external expert for her encouragement, insightful comments, suggestions, and recommendation for further progression of my research. Our former internal expert, Dr. Anurag sir, present internal expert, Dr. Jay Joshi sir, and other faculties of Department and Business and Management like Sharad sir, Dharaman for their motivation and valuable feedback. A special thanks to my supervisor, Dr. Radha Tiwari, for her continuous support, guidance, and motivation. Your valuable feedbacks and encouragement helped me in all the hard time of this research. Now, I would like to acknowledge some other contributors who helped me in my research work. R.D. Modi sir, Vinod Shimakar sir, Karode sir, Under Secretary in Budget Department, J. Bhatt sir, Section Officer, J.M. Mission sir, Deputy Secretary, Kaushal Rawat sir, Deputy Director in Directorate of Economics and Statistics, Kiran Bhai, Deputy Section Officer in Budget Department, Vishal sir from Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, P.T. Mandoda sir, Deputy Secretary in Education Department, Dr. Vachaspati Shukla sir, Assistant Professor in Sardar Patel Institute of Economic and Social Research, Dr. Nachiket sir. He is also an Assistant Professor in Sardar Patel Institute of Economic and Social Research in Ahmedabad, Dr. Hardik Thakkar, Assistant Professor in Gujarat National Law University. And last but not the least, I would like to thank my family, colleagues, and my friends. Thank you very much.